Cleveland, the 7 seed against the 14 seed. Pistons 29-31, Cavs 15-47, 5 p.m., 4:30 to the pregame. You get that one at AM 950 WWJ. Tiger baseball today right here on the Ticket. Tigers hosting Atlanta down in spring training down in Lakeland. Our broadcast right here on the Ticket starts at 1:05. MSU basketball on the road at Indiana today. That's at 12 noon. Trying to avenge an early season loss at home to Indiana. Spartans coming off a big win against Michigan. MSU tied with Purdue for first place in the Big Ten. Ohio State coach Chris Holtmann suspends leading scorer and rebounder Caleb Wesson indefinitely for violation of team rules. Didn't say why, but he will play again this year, so they say. He's averaging 14.5 points and 6.7 rebounds per game. Red Wing hockey tonight right here on the Ticket. Wings in Arizona. They'll drop the puck just after 8 p.m. NHL Worst Senators have fired head coach Guy Boucher. They replaced him with assistant Mark Crawford on an interim basis. In the PGA Tour, soon JM Keith Mitchell, the co-leaders, through 2 rounds of the Honda Classic. And according to ESPN, the 3 teams shown the most interest in wide receiver Antonio Brown to date are the Oakland Raiders, Washington Redskins, and Tennessee Titans. At the Ticket Update Desk, I'm Jeff Lesson. For more, 97.1theticket.com.
The following is a paid program. The views expressed on this program are not necessarily those of Entercom Communications, its sponsors, or affiliates.
For Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. I'm your host, Harvey Freed. Alongside me, Harry Glantz.
Morning, man. How are you doing this morning?
Fantastic, Harry. Great to see you. Of course, March 2nd, 2019. We're excited to have in, of course, John Kolb from the office.
What's up, guys? How you doing today?
Hey, John.
Green, John Kolb. Harv, you had a great week.
That's not too bad. I'm all
Kolb, you
good.
had a great week.
Yeah, great week.
We're all having great weeks.
Michigan State beat Michigan. Sorry, Kyle. But
I threw that in there.
Great game. Two great teams, though.
That's okay. I won't even bring up Arizona State beat Michigan State in baseball yesterday because we're not even talking baseball yet.
We're
always talking about
It's March.
Okay, fair enough. Hey,
when did baseball start?
Who's this guy? Kyle Lang. Hey, how you doing?
Good, guys. Thanks for having me.
Of course, with Remax Dream Properties, Northville, South Line. You guys got the office in Livonia still, too. Yep. You're awesome. You're fun to talk to, Kyle. I know you were trying to, Harvey, get out of here. You're trying to get me off the phone last night. You're like, Harvey, I got to go.
No,
He's got stuff to do.
Yeah, he did.
After
he
the
shooed me
first
off.
phone call yesterday, I think Harvey had a little crush on you. I mean, it was,
I do. I like
boy.
this guy.
Well, shout out to Kyle's dad, Keith Lang. Big car guy here. I've known Keith for the last 20-some years, over 20 years.
You guys have already made these connections.
What do you mean made the connection? I mean,
known this?
First of all, I'm glad you're here.
Thank you.
Welcome, and we're going to talk about real estate, mortgages. We're talking about buying and selling, and we're going to talk about how hot is the market out there in your neck of the woods.
It's crazy. So pretty much, everyone thinks right around March is going to be the spring market when everything gets going. I say like February 4th, that first Monday of February, someone turned the faucet on and it just started going. So we've been working like gangbusters. I mean, like John, too. I mean, ever since then, it's just been crazy busy. Everything, you're getting multiple offers. Buyers are out there looking at multiple properties. So it's just, It's really busy.
So we're talking about, John and Harvey, if you listen to the show on a regular basis, we bring people on that are in the market, that are on the street, that are doing business. And for the last month, we've said that the market's really turned around and opened it up. In our last 3, 4, 5 shows, ever since for us, it was really around January 7th, January 8th. Somebody turned off the switch on December 10th, December 15th, and through the first week, the way the holidays fell this year. But when we came back, going into that second week of January, ever since, and you're living proof of it, the market has been really, really strong.
Yeah. I mean, if you're looking at just comparing last year to this year, for me at least, it's just drastically different. We've had, everyone's out there looking. A lot of people, too, I think it's fallout from last year was so competitive, such a competitive market that there wasn't enough inventory. People, they got to the end of the year like, well, let's just wait. Let's get through the holidays. And then early this year, they started looking again. Like, all right, we want to get out there before all the other buyers do.
That's a great point. I think people are starting earlier this year because last year was such a seller's market. And it's starting to even out a little bit more, which is fantastic. More buyers. I mean, it's even with buyers and sellers. I mean, we've got scenarios out there where buyers are having to buy the house first and getting a great deal on it, and then turning around and selling their house in one day. Wow. And it's amazing. And that's still happening. And they're offering their house that they're selling for a very good price because they want to get rid of it because they've already got the house. But there's just multiple bid offers out there still, and it's a great thing to see.
I had a listing I just put up on the market on Thursday in Garden City, and I got an offer yesterday before I had one showing. Someone sent over the offer. They're like, we saw the pictures online. We know we're going to like it. I'm coming to see it at 6 o'clock. I wanted to get this to you first. And I was just like, how do you do this?
That's great.
How often do you see what we like to call, it's a technical term, BS offers? Where they come in and they're just offering before they even see the house just to tie the house up, and then they go through their 10-day contingency, and then they pull out because they didn't think that they could tear the house down and build it up like they wanted to.
Well, I mean, even if the offer that I would have gotten yesterday would have been above asking price, we're still not going to just go ahead and jump on that first one, because just like you said, it could be BS. This person could write the offer, okay, I think I'm going to like it. They come in, and for whatever reason, they don't like it. They back out during that 10-day contingency. We just lost almost 2 weeks, 2 full weekends, if you think about it timing-wise, on the market when we're getting most of our showings done. It doesn't make sense. So if you are looking at offers like that, you need to sometimes take a step back. All right, don't jump the gun right away. You have other showings scheduled.
Just curious, in that conversation with those families, now where are your sellers going to go to? Are they buying another house?
No, so they're actually relocating out of the area. So
Okay.
they're just like, let's get this property sold, and we'll figure it out when we get there.
Great. These are the kind of situations and things that we're going to talk about all morning long. Of course, 248-539-9797. We take all your calls here live in the studio. We're brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding at 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. That's where you'll find a strong approval letter, one-on-one meetings with all of our top staff. And, of course, that's the key, is getting the process, sort of enjoying the process. I'm still teaching the process, the procedures. There are a lot of, we say, moving parts in the industry, in the business. From the time you accept the offer, of course, the inspection and the appraisal. I wrote it down last night. Shouldn't we start enjoying these processes more? It's not a hassle. Right. Enjoy the inspection. Go through, meet the inspector at the house, learn about the house. Home ownership should be fun. Do you still feel that way, Kyle? Are people enjoying it?
I mean, it can be stressful at times, because everyone, they want to own a house. It's the American dream. Everyone wants to own a property and be able to have their own place. So sometimes when it doesn't work out perfectly, it can be stressful, but I'm a firm believer in what is meant to be will be, especially when it comes to a home. And I tell people all the time, it's not necessarily the house. It's the people that you're in the house with that is going to make it the best. So just enjoy the process. Try to, at least when you're doing your inspections, pay attention. Especially I work with a lot of young buyers, a lot of first-time buyers. I tell them, bring mom and dad to the inspection so the inspector can show them too. They could be talking about stuff that they have no idea what it is. You want to make sure that you're fully comprehending what it is that you're getting yourself into.
Well, that's interesting because, you find out more and more the parents are involved in the decision. And, for us kids, it gets a little crazy because you want to do it on your own. You want to do everything. But guess what? If somebody can help give you the answers to the test, you've got to go to that knowledge. You've got to go to that well of knowledge because they've been through it before. So I think when you bring your parents along, they're going to see things in a different light because you're emotional. It's a very emotional process. You walk in, you want to buy it immediately, and you don't want to jump into things too quickly.
Right. Well, at the same time, it's emotional for the parents as well. It's their child. They're growing up. This is the biggest decision they've probably ever made. The parents, they truly do have their kids' best interests at heart. And there's some people that say, oh, God, the parents are getting involved. You know what? They have the best interest of their kid out there, and they want to make sure that their kid's not getting taken advantage of and getting put into a position that they're going to be successful.
What's wrong with more information? What's wrong with more knowledge? You don't have to listen to you don't have to, preach everything, but you just have to make sure that you talk to as many people as you can about situations that you're going through, and then try to draw from that and learn on your own.
Yeah, we had a situation actually a couple months ago where the parents were hanging out in the living room and caught up with the sellers. Were still in the house as the inspection was going on. And believe it or not, they like to talk, and sometimes a lot of sellers, maybe a little warning out there if you're selling a house. The sellers and the buyer's parents were having some deep conversations. Well, a lot of information was exchanged in that meeting alone. So sometimes you can benefit from it or hurt yourself if you're talking too much.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's to kind of speak to sellers being at the house. I always tell my sellers, it can sometimes be uncomfortable for a buyer when you walk into a house and yes, I understand it's the seller's home, but they've never met this person before. This is a stranger to them. They can't talk freely. They can't, they don't feel like they can go through the house as much as they would if nobody was there. So it's just one of those things I try to coach my sellers. Listen, if you really want to be here, if you're really nervous, I understand. Give them their space. But for the most part, it's usually just the best situation to leave the house and let the buyers kind of walk through and check it out.
Let them do their thing. That's great advice. 248-539-9797. This is going to be a jam-packed show. Again, we want to hear from you if you're buying or selling a house. We've got some other information. We're going to be out later this afternoon over at the Cottage and Lakefront Living Show at the Suburban Showcase out in Novi. It's a lot of fun. Come by and see us.
Harvey, you and I.
Where are you hanging out, John?
They're pulling in the big dogs today from 1 to 5.
Now, you guys earlier just brought up the parents and stuff. It turns out here, you're not going to believe this, that 2019 might be dubbed the Bank of Mom and Dad. There was an article that came out about it, that more parents are contributing. In fact, parents across the United States were the 7th largest lenders, so pushing us aside in
Really?
2018.
Yeah, I wonder where I show up on that list. Because, I'm supporting 2 millennials, even though I have a married daughter. And you know what? I'm proud of them. But listen, I think they have it a lot tougher nowadays than we had it when we were growing up. So I'm just more than happy to help. And we see that all the time. We see gift letters. We see parents contributing to every, even going on as non-owner occupying co-borrowers so they can go ahead and get the loan. And in the mortgage banking world, that's, in the car world, your dad will tell you that's called a co-signer.
Right.
In our world, it's a non-owner occupying co-borrower. So that's what it is. But yeah, parents are helping out more and more and more. And it just takes a lot of, time, effort, energy, experience, and most importantly, finances to get into a house now.
All right, when we come back, we're up against a break. We're going to talk all about home ownership, buying, selling, anything you want to talk about. 248-539-9797.
Las Vegas. It's not on the Strip. It's in downtown Vegas. The odds are better.
Hi, Harry Glantz and Danberg for Capital Mortgage Funding. We do loans everywhere. In Southfield, in Birmingham, in Royal Oak, in Grosse Ile, in Detroit, in Canton, in Northville. No matter where you live, we want to do your mortgage too. That's Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker.
Alrighty, welcome back to the show, 916. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. That's where you can find us all weekend long at 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. Definitely looking forward to your calls here as we're diving into home buying season here. And let's go out to Zach. Zach, you got a great question here. Adding an addition versus buying a new home. That's always a great one. Where do you live? Where do you live now?
We live in White Lake.
Oh, great. I was out there actually yesterday. We had a closing. And, when you love your neighborhood, tell us a little bit about what your thoughts are.
Well, that's the thing. I really do love my neighborhood, especially our lot. We've got a private lot, woods in the back. And the school district is great and everything.
Just need more space for kids, or
pardon me?
Just wanting more space for children or growing family?
No, more for ourselves. The previous owners put a bonus room behind our garage, but they used a quarter of the garage to make a mud room to access it.
Okay.
So from the front, I have, from the facade, it's a 2-car garage, but when you open it up, it's more like lawn tractor car.
Yeah, okay. So what are you looking to do then?
Are you trying to make it another 2-car back to 2-car garage, or what's your game plan?
Yeah, so I work for a construction company, and we talked about it, and I could put an extension on the garage and a master above the garage for about $150,000.
Ooh. I thought you were going to. I honestly thought you were going to tell me like 40 or 50,000.
Yeah.
How many square feet is your house right now, and how many square feet are you going to add to it?
Our house is, I think, about 1,900 now. I think we'd add about 800, I think.
So
Okay.
just so I understand, you're you don't right now have a full 2-car garage. It was semi-converted, right?
Yeah, to the
Correct.
back.
It's a garage and a half-ish.
Yeah. So
I'd
that
be
part's
extending the garage out, like 15 feet.
I like the idea. If you like where you're staying at, Dave, here, if you like where he's living, if you like where you're living, you're excited about it. I'm just trying to figure out, why is that? It sounds like it costs too much money.
Well, and you're going to be there for a very long time. It's going to cost about $200 a square foot to add it on.
Okay.
And my only thing is, what's the difference in an appraised value for a 1-car and a 2-car garage?
And
you're
you
not
got-
going to get that kind of money, even with the additional 800 square foot.
Here.
If you're looking to stay in the area, I'm going to say, and that's the home that you love and you're going to be in forever,
Do it.
Do it.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for return on investment,
Yeah, if you're going to be there a long time, you like the area, like Lisa said.
Detroit Pistons home game from the LCA box office. Ticketmaster by phone at 248-377-0100, the Detroit Pistons app, or from Pistons.com. The Toronto Raptors are coming to Little Caesars Arena to take on the Detroit Pistons tomorrow. Get more at 971theticket.com.
The only way you can take 97.1 The Ticket with you is the radio.com app. Download it today and listen to us anytime, anywhere.
97.1 The Ticket.
It's the donut. Oh, welcome back to the show. There we are. 9:15. If you're just joining us, it's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding.
You almost missed your interlude talking about donuts, Harvey.
We're talking about donuts. Anyways, we're talking about actually meeting people across the country. And again, we're going to be talking about second homes. And a little bit of conversation came up about I was down in Florida, and sure enough, a couple of neighbors started coming my way, Harry. And the one guy made the donuts at one of the local cider mills. It's called Parmentiers. Is that what the one in Northville? Okay. And I'm like, what? You're famous. And here he was down there. Yeah, great place, great place. Anyways, we're going to take all your calls here, 248-539-9797. In fact, we'll go to our first call today. We've got Larry calling in from a cell phone, if we get that. There we go. Hey, Larry, good morning. Welcome to our show.
Good morning. How are you today?
Real good. What's happening?
We was just listening to the show, and we're curious on home inspections because my son bought a flip house in Columbus, and the realtors, it's required by the realtor. And the inspector missed about everything he could miss, from a leaky sump pump to leaky plumbing to light switches with nothing at the other end of them. Is there any way to go back on the realtor inspector? My son's had thousands of dollars in repairs on things that any inspector would have caught. How do you know do you have to hire your own or rely on the realtor? What do you do?
Well, on an inspection, that's up to you to get the inspection. And you can't really go back on the realtor. Now, what I would ask you when you entered the purchase agreement, was there a seller's disclosure stating anything wrong with the property? So it's all about disclosure on that. That's number one. Number two is that I'm not an attorney. I don't play one on the radio. Here's the however. It's up to you to go ahead and hire an independent inspector. That's on you. So let's just say in this example, you hired the inspector. The inspector is your guy. He's on your team, and he's working on behalf of you. He goes in that house, and he doesn't find anything, in his opinion, doesn't write in his report. And guess what? You've had all these faulty things go on in the property. Now, again, all my attorney friends out there, please call me up and let's advise this guy properly. That's between you and your independent inspector. That's the realtor has nothing to do with it. I mean, if the seller didn't disclose, that's another story. Now you could go back to the seller. But again, I want to open it up to all of our real estate attorney friends, and I would tell you that it's all about disclosure. The seller's got to disclose on the seller's disclosure, but if you're hiring that independent inspector, that's between you and the inspector.
But Larry, go ahead, Larry.
In this instance, my son lived in Lexington and was buying this house to move to work.
Right.
And he didn't know anyone in Columbus, so he left it up to his realtor to hire the inspector because he wouldn't even know who to call.
I understand.
So his realtor called the inspector, and to be honest with you, based on what wasn't found from the plumbing underneath the kitchen sink not being hooked up properly.
Boy, oh boy.
No, I understand.
I don't know what he looked at.
Right, but the realtor is just the realtor in this instance, okay? The realtor is just the realtor. Got to take a look at the seller's disclosure, and you got to go back to the individual inspector.
Kyle, what are you doing in this situation? I know you're referring. Are you referring your inspector to your buyers?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I have a list of a few different ones, and I always tell people, too, if you want to choose your own inspector, you're more than welcome to do so, but these are gentlemen that I've worked with, or ladies that I've worked with in the past, that I trust them. I know they know what they're doing. Now, not any inspector is perfect, just like anything you're going to do in life. I would recommend, though, call back the inspector. Say, hey, listen, we feel like you missed these things. In some cases, they have certain insurances that can cover some of these things.
Yes.
But that's going to be between you, the purchaser, and the actual inspection company yourself.
Yeah, so I mean, this comes up all the time, Larry. It's a sticky thing, and I mean, we always advise families, even before they even get the inspector out there, they're looking at the house, they're making the offer. Turn on every light switch, turn on every plumbing, look under these things. Getting more experienced people on your team is the key, and this comes up because maybe the experience from those people involved in the transaction needed to be a little bit better. Right, as simple as that.
I got one more question for you. We're thinking of selling our house. It's 24 years old. Are we better off hiring an inspector prior to even listing it?
Oh, that's a great question.
I like it. I wrote it down from last night. Unbelievable.
We had that a couple weeks ago, and I don't think that's a bad idea at all. In fact, some sort of inspection/value opinion before you even get the house out there to just get a good idea. So and make that report available. To the people coming in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and find out things that I might need to fix that I don't realize are broken.
Right, exactly. And now, Larry, make sure, just like your son or the realtor should have, make sure that the inspector that you guys are hiring is licensed and insured, bonded.
Yep.
You know, and if your son's inspector is all of those things, then like Kyle said, you can go back to him and say, hey, look, these are the things you missed, and what can we do about it?
And at the same time, too, Larry, I don't know what city your house is in, but there's some cities where they require what's called a certificate of occupancy inspection prior to closing, and that's something you're going to have to do regardless, no matter who you're selling the house to, even if you're selling it to a relative of some sorts. So you may want to just have them come out. They're going to check, make sure everything is at least to code, and then a buyer could always bring in their private inspector once they've accepted an offer.
Larry, great stuff. These are all great questions, really important stuff.
All right, well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
We thank you.
Man, thanks.
It's so important that I actually wrote it down as a topic to ask you, is it something you suggest for your sellers? A couple of things is, so you're hiring a professional inspection company as a seller to find these small things that are wrong with your house. And the reason why is because when the buyer buys them, they're going to come back and they're going to start negotiating. After their inspection, they're going to ask for seller's concessions, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, and put some doubt in your mind, also in their minds, that there's some things that weren't up to code. I love it. For $300 to $400 to have a private home inspection done, you can get the work done before anyone even comes to your house.
Absolutely. Or even if you don't want to get the work done before, you can just show a buyer, listen, I already had the home inspected. Here's a copy of the inspection report for your review. That way you know exactly what you're getting.
Now, Kyle, I wouldn't be me if I didn't say that the buyer is not obligated to use that inspector.
Absolutely no, but it's for their own.
Let everybody know out there.
My buddy just went through that. Just had someone come out, take a look at the house, recommendations on what to get fixed up and before the house. Busted his butt getting it done. First day on the market yesterday, 11 showings and 8 more set up for this weekend.
There you go. He's all set.
And that's just prepping the right way. That's a good realtor. That's a good inspector. That's a good homeowner who's taking the advice and making sure that things are done the right way so that the house shows well and everybody's questions are answered right away so they can make educated decisions.
Making those repairs, those small upgrades to a house. I mean, that's what you guys are all about, having great real estate agents on your team, discussing with your realtors what can net more money. At the end of the game, it's net. If you have to put some money into the house to net more money out of it, then why not? Do the right thing, again, putting the money in your pocket and selling a really nice product. Probably save you a lot of hassles. As a real estate agent, I think you guys love that idea that you're not getting those phone calls after the fact.
Absolutely. Well, and that's the thing. Like I always just talk about, you want peace of mind talking with a seller. You want them to understand, you don't want to have to deal with this after you sell the house. It's an emotional thing you're doing. You're moving from your family home. Maybe you're selling mom and dad's place or something like that. You don't want to have to deal with it after the fact. Just go in there and be completely upfront and honest with these people, and it just makes the process way easier for everyone involved.
All righty, we're going to take all your calls here. We had some good ones so far. 248-539-9797. Always quality of the structure. We talked about it a little bit last night. You said that some of the areas that you're selling, this is really interesting. Some of the and let's throw out some compliments out there. Some of the hardworking people here in Southeast Michigan have really kept up their homes. I know that guy had one of those kind of uncles where everything was pristine. The furnace is in great shape, hot water heaters. They're doing all the right things, emptying hot water heaters. I've never emptied one in my life, but these are things that make the appliances and stuff last a little bit longer. But really, the quality of the structure, these houses are really being well kept, but they might need some cosmetic improvement.
Exactly. Yeah. So with a lot of my buyers that I'm coming in with, they understand I'm going to move into this house. I'm going to have to do, what I want to get this house looking as nice as I want it, decor and all this thing like that. So they don't mind having to paint, having to rearrange stuff, but they just want that peace of mind knowing, okay, my furnace isn't going to go out on me in the next 18 months. My roof is only, 3 years old. That's going to last me a while. if you can put your money in those things as sellers, it's going to save you so much in the long run.
Yep. Instead of replacing that carpet, even consider that hardwood floor. Of course, those are the selling features, things that you get more money out of your house in the future. The house will show better. New gutters instead of them hanging off the back of the house. And, of course, finished basements and things of that nature. These little finishing things will add some value if you're selling a house and you need a professional real estate agent to point those things out to you, sort of highlight what's very good in your house.
Right, exactly.
All right, 248-539-9797. If we got a minute or so, we'll go to this call. Let's go off to Jim. Jim out in White Lake, you've got a question. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you guys today?
Real good, Jim. What's happening?
What's up, Jim?
Well, my son purchased a house in Ferndale late last summer, early fall, and turns out that whenever we get a decent rain, the backyard floods and becomes real muddy. It takes a while for it to dry up and that. And then this winter when we had that big thaw, it again froze up his whole backyard and actually went into his garage.
Yep.
The detached garage, and iced over, so that became unusable.
Oh, boy.
According to the neighbors, the lady who sold this knew of this problem. Turns out he's kind of a low spot there on this main street. And just wondering if he's got any recourse on disclosure or something like that.
Boy, our show's turning into one of these this morning. No, it's a great question, Jim. There's no doubt that families should disclose this information as a seller.
Wait,
however, we're selling this house as is. And that, at the end of the day, that becomes the fine line. If you disclose it that on occasion, there's some flooding when there's heavy rains. I get it a little in our backyard. So it's common. What do you say on this, Kyle?
So a lot of sellers, when they're filling out those sellers' disclosures, when you say, well, is there any flooding, any water damage, they think, does that mean to the house? Well, the basement never gets water.
Well, there was years ago when we had that big rain, and it actually...
Oh, well, everybody had water there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole Woodward corridor was screwed. Yeah.
Right. And so they did discuss that. They showed, the repairs they did. I guess they conditioned the crawl space a little bit. So it's been dry ever since, apparently, but... Again, going back to the backyard issue.
Yeah, living here in Michigan, there's no doubt that our landscaping crews are going to be hard at work this spring, putting a lot of those drain tiles.
You might take a look at grading away from the house.
The grading,
and do all that. I know John Colbenhouse, he's a real expert in that because he did the grading in our office, and we have Lake Kolb in front of our office.
Yeah, we had a situation at the office. John, honestly, how many yards did we bring in, and we still needed more? It was a crazy.
We brought it 45 yards of dirt and 4 guys and tried to spread it. So it took all day, but it was good. But Jim, take a look at the seller's disclosure. See if they did mention anything. If they didn't, I'm not quite sure if yards are part of the seller's disclosure.
Well, look, definitely some follow-up here. 248-539-9797. When we come back, tons of information. Keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket.
Hi, Harry Glantz and Danberg for Capital Mortgage Funding. We do loans everywhere. In Southfield, in Birmingham, in Royal Oak, in Groseal, in Detroit, in Canton, in Northville. No matter where you live, we want to do your mortgage too. That's Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker.
Welcome back to the show, 931. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. We're in our 19-plus season here on the radio. We appreciate all of you listening. Definitely give Capital Mortgage a call. Get that strong approval letter. Get your mortgage handled the right way. 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker here. And always in the studio, 248-539-9797. Got some great guys always. Dave McLean and Doug Andrews in from the Keller Williams office, Lakeside. You guys do a great job. We got so much information to share with families on different strategies. And just off the air, we were just talking about, this time of year tends to lead to different things on purchase agreements. And I said, what do you do? You can't turn the air conditioner on. If there's a pool in the backyard, you don't know if it's functioning. These things could cost a couple $1,000. The whole air conditioning unit could be blown out.
And Doug brought up a good point when we just...
He solved it with $400 answer, Doug.
Home warranties.
Done.
We work with a local Michigan company, America's Preferred Home Warranty, and they're limited warranties. They're not going to carte blanche everything, but it's going to cover most of the routine things that go wrong when you're selling or buying hot water tanks, dishwashers, heating and air conditioning, those type of things. Pools are a little bit different.
Okay.
And depending upon the situation and how the pools are maintained, the age of the pool, Yes, we do hold escrows for the springtime to have it fired up. Okay, that will happen sometimes.
Yeah, there's certain things that you have to hold in escrow right now. And at this time of year, because it's weather related, we always run into that.
Yep.
The experienced agents understand that. Okay, so there's never a problem when somebody says, okay, we have to escrow for.
Alrighty, welcome back to the show. It's 9:30. You're listening to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. Yeah, just for another 30 minutes or so. Now we're going to have Pat Caputo coming in with sports all day long here on 97.1 The Ticket. Keep it here. Lots of great stuff. We got about another 30 minutes or so. We take your calls. 248-539-9797. We brought in Kyle Lang from RE/MAX Dream Properties. Of course, they got the Northville, South Line, Livonia office. He works anywhere in Southeast Michigan. I'm really enjoying all our conversations. If there's someone in the office just like you, can you introduce them to me? Because I'd like to.
There's only one me.
There's only one of you.
Oh, boy.
Okay, so we'll go. In that case.
Boy, I bet your mom and dad are happy about that.
I met his younger brother last weekend. There's two of them.
Oh, there is two of them. Hey, let's roll out to William out in Richmond. Remodeling to improve value of your house. William, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Hey, how you guys doing this morning?
Really good. Thanks for calling in. What's happening?
Sure. So my question for you is, I have an older home, about 130 years old. I still have a lot of locks as joists in my basement. And we have a company coming in a couple weeks. We're doing we're basically replacing all the foundation, all the joists, load-bearing beams, footers, all that's getting redone.
Yeah.
My question for you is, obviously that has to be done because it's an old home, but what does that do for value? If it does anything for value, or do I just have to get it done to get it done?
I mean, it's going to keep the house going. I mean, I don't think adding new, beams and foundation and joists are going to really add anything as like sellers coming in and saying, hey, this is an upgrade. It's like a new roof, right? You already have a roof. Put a new roof on.
They expect that when you buy a house.
I mean, it's going to help sell, right? It's going to be a great selling feature that is going to help say, hey, this house has more durability because of what we've done. It's not going to fall apart on you. So I think, yes, you have to do it. It's going to help you sell when you're ready, but I don't think it's going to add a ton of value.
Any certain value.
Okay, I was just curious. I figured that was the case with it.
Hey, Bill. William, you're gonna stay there? Obviously, you're doing the improvements because you're staying in the home for a while, right?
Yeah. We're not planning on going anywhere anytime soon. We're doing basically a full remodel through the entire house. I just have to do this before I can move forward with anything else.
Just curious, what type of dollar are you looking at to complete the foundation, the joists, and all that? What is it?
$18,000.
Yep.
I'm doing the electrical and the HVAC myself.
Okay, well, good. Hey, congratulations. You're doing the right thing. You obviously enjoy the older home. It's got the charm, and they can't make them like that anymore. And I think what you're doing makes a lot of sense. So often we'll run into families that have to sell that 130-year-old home or that older home, and they haven't kept up or done these repairs, and they don't get anything for the house. So it's quite the opposite of what we would want. We definitely want you to do what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a client actually just recently.
Thanks a lot for the call, Bill.
Just a client out of the state of Michigan. So that's one of the cool things about working for a company like RE/MAX is we're able to help people all around. And I had a friend that they were buying a home in Indiana, and it was an older home like that, and there were some foundation issues, and it wasn't able to pass city inspection because of the foundation issues. So that current owner had not put that money into the house, and it ended up costing him the ability to sell the home.
Well, we had a little bit of a slowdown, as Harry mentioned, just for it's like 3 weeks in there. So maybe someone turned off the faucet around December 10th or so. But things are jamming again. As we mentioned, it seems like the faucet's on full throttle now. Spring home buying season, really officially, March 20th is officially spring, 3 weeks away from that. The showings, though, you're getting the showings. Everything I'm hearing this morning, and we spoke to agents over the last couple of weeks, is yes, this is going to be a robust home buying season in Southeast Michigan. Although the numbers might say that things are a little bit off from last year, but the last 3 years have been record years. If you're considering home ownership, get your ducks in a row. That's the key. Find out what it takes to get it closed, how much money's involved. Of course, the MSHDA program, John, is still available. Now, there's 2 MSHDA programs out. There's lots of MSHDA programs out there, but the $15,000 program earlier this week, for anyone getting that program, the $15,000 down payment assistance, a step forward program with 61 selected zip codes, is down to $2.2 million in the fund. And again, so each home owner is allowed $15,000. The standard MSHDA program, $7,500. That's an active program that's going to continue as long as the state has the money and funds the program. So things are still out there available for some families that need help. If you don't need any help, again, get your mortgage approved. Find out if there's anything different in your life. So often we run into families that were getting W-2'd and now they're self-employed and that they don't show the same income. And there's a lot of other things going on. Tax returns, everyone's starting to work on their tax returns. Those numbers could look a little bit different than in the past, and you might have to come up with some money. So remember, Capital Mortgage is there to help you all the ways that you need, whether you need a cash-out refinance to help pay for some old debts or maybe to pay off, who knows, maybe even some taxes or property tax bills. Definitely give us a call, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. Continuing the show, looking for your phone calls at 248-539-9797. You guys want to talk about anything specific?
Yeah, I've got a question for you guys, you mortgage experts. What are rates doing right now? Where do you see it trending?
Oh, John, you want to jump on that one?
Rates are great. I mean, rates are still staying in the mid to high 4s,
right?
And they're doing great. I mean, with the Fed coming out and saying that they kind of scaling back.
Yeah, they're going to slow down on that
on the rate increases. I think it really it spurred the people to get out there and start looking. It spurred a lot of calls for refinances, some cash out.
Yep.
I mean, if you can still get a rate in the mid to high 4s, you're still at the bottom of the curve, and it's just a great time to do something.
Yeah, historically speaking, that's extremely low. And the reason why I asked the question is, so Kyle, when you take people out, I mean, how many times do they talk about rates? Do they talk about the house first? They talk about mortgage rates. I mean, what are they talking about by the time you get them? What are they talking about?
So once I get them and they're already pre-approved, they're pretty much just all focused on the rate itself, or I'm sorry, on the house itself. They don't talk rate with me too much, and as a realtor, I don't pretend to know a lot about rates and a lot about mortgages. I'll tell them, listen, that's a great question for John. I'm sure John can answer that question for you. John will give them a shout, or they'll call John and they'll answer whatever question they have. One thing I have found though is back in like 2016 when rates were at 3.5%, right? You had all these people that were buying houses back then, got historically low rates. Now their friends are looking to buy. They're calling me, hey, I think there's something wrong with my interest rate. It's like 4.5%.
Which I understand human behavior and psychology. So you have to understand this. Back in 2016, and you bring up a great point, rates are at 3.5%. So we had people saying to us, that's too high. I want 3.25. I want 3 1/8.
It'll always be too high.
It does. We're not going to lend money at 0%. It doesn't happen.
I just got a call this week from a client who said, I was just talking to my coworkers about the house I'm buying, and they say my payment's too high. And I said, they have the similar mortgage and their payment's not as much. I said, well, where do they live? How much are their taxes? Your taxes are X. What are their taxes? How long ago did they buy? Did they buy 3 years ago when they got a 3.5% rate and now rates are in the mid 4s?
Right.
I said, you can't compare. It's not apples and apples. If you're buying houses next to each other that are the same size, same price, then yes, everything's going to be very similar, but not across different cities with different tax
Listen,
rates.
You're talking about 52 years ago, 52, 53 years ago, rates were the same as they are now.
I think there was only one person alive in this room at that point, right?
That's right. That's right.
I was alive too, but barely.
Oh,
hey, you know what I wrote?
Most experienced.
I say play it safe, be careful, get mortgage professionals in your life. Again, understand the whole thing. It's not. Sit down. That's the thing. It doesn't matter who I'm talking to, whether it be a debt consolidation loan, a first-time home buyer. Get the knowledge behind you. Meet with your professional mortgage people. Really talk to them about A to Z. Don't just talk. If you're not talking about people that have the whole knowledge that you need, that's not the right person for you. I pumped in a couple of things on the computer this week, and I saw a really low rate out there until I hit the view of the details. It was $8,200 in discount points. So again, if you're not understanding what you're looking at, it could even be more confusing.
Even better, Harvey. I had somebody call me up today, yesterday, and say they get a 4% 30-year fix.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
and we offer that.
I'll get you. You want to pay 3.5 points? I've got no problem with it. On $200,000, that's a lot of money.
We caught that call yesterday that somebody with a 85 cash out was getting 4.25. on a Freddie Mac. Great. All day long. Yes, we can do that.
So all those people out there, that means you have to call somebody you know and trust and get the real story. That's what it means. Now, what we're finding out...
I can also get you a Denali for $20,000 at signing.
Yeah, the e-blasts are coming out right now. The mass mailers, the phone calls, the robocallers are all coming out. They're coming out of the woodwork because it's home buying season, and they want to go ahead and disseminate inaccurate information. I mean, that's what they're getting. It's crazy, the information that's out there. You got to take a look at it because there's if there's a deal out there that's too good to be true, chances are it is. Remember, that's what your mother told you. All right? Don't talk to strangers and check things out. That's what your mother told you.
Yeah, she was right. 248-539-9797. I'll continue the conversation with Kyle Lang, of course, from Remax Stream Properties. Kyle, one of the things that also has come up in our office, and a couple of the guys in our office have bought homes recently, so, some interesting conversations. Hey, if we buy houses, we're subject to the same information that's out there. Property taxes. Yeah, if you bought the house and the family has lived there for 25 or 30 years, now that property becomes uncapped. Yep. And how does SEVs, state equalized value, a lot of you folks are getting these things sent to your house. Understanding it, I actually had the flyer on it. Here it is. Did you see that one, Harry, with Proposal A? And Proposal A back in March of 1994 set this whole thing up with the homestead exemptions and how it all works. But when you buy a house that has, let's just say, $3,000 a year taxes, that was from the previous owner who's lived there a long time. And just a little buyer beware out there. If you're not really talking with the real professionals out there, it can be a big surprise party if you get a tax bill and you find out that your taxes now are $5,000 or $6,000.
So I had a client actually just this past last March. They were looking at places in Ann Arbor.
Beautiful,
big ticket, like $600,000-$700,000.
Yes.
The property taxes showed like $4,500 on this house right downtown Ann Arbor. Look it up. Well, the people have lived there since 1948.
There you go.
Yep.
So my client's like, these taxes are so cheap. They're only $4,500. I'm like, yeah, they've been there for almost 70 years. Like,
right.
Those taxes are going to jump way, way up. So be aware of that.
We'll talk a little bit about reassess. And I had a conversation with the treasurer down in Woodhaven. We're going to hopefully get him on the air and stuff to talk about SEVs and your value and a whole lot more. Keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket. We'll be right back.
Hi, Harry Glantz and Danberg for Capital Mortgage Funding. We do loans everywhere. In Southfield, in Birmingham, in Royal Oak, in Groseal, in Detroit, in Canton, in Northville. No matter where you live, we want to do your mortgage too. That's Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker.
Because it was black.
See, we're talking about roofs here and everything else. We're back live, 97.1. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Show. Oh, yeah. Little local music. We appreciate it. We'll go with the little kid. All right, keep it here on 97.1 all day long. We got sports coming up. We got the Tigers coming up with Dan Dickerson and Jim Price. That'll be a lot of fun. Just turning those guys on is going to sound like spring this afternoon, so keep it here on 97.1. Hey, Lisa, I want to drop all the different programs we have also. Reverse mortgages, as we were talking about downsides and we're talking about empty nesters. Reverse mortgages can be used not only to refinance and use equity to get yourself straight, but also to purchase a house.
Yep.
We'll talk about that a little bit. Jumbo rates are unbelievably low right now.
They are crazy low. I mean, and we have a 15-1 arm. And for people that don't understand, that means your rate is locked for 15 years. And the rates are phenomenal on most of our jumbo products. I'm telling people right now, if you are in a jumbo product now and you're thinking about either wanting cash out or just refinancing, this is the time to look. And this is the time to get those inquiries out because I haven't seen rates this good in quite some time.
Yeah, jumbo rates are often by private investors,
Correct.
and they don't have to go through Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, so the rates are a little bit lower right now. And
that's for anything over
484, 350.
There you go, Harry. Bingo. You got it right on the number. 484, 350.
Appreciate that.
Awesome.
Hey, let's go to this call. We got Christy.
I'm a rookie in this business.
I got Christy up there calling in from, not quite sure where Christy's calling from, but we're going to go to her. Hey, Christy, you're live on The Ticket. Go ahead.
Calling in from Bloomfield Hills.
Okay.
My mortgage company, my mortgage got sold to a mortgage company.
Yes.
And every month, my mortgage gets paid through Chase Bank.
Okay.
So it is you know, and I pay it religiously every month.
Right.
And so, first of all, my mortgage company takes it front chase. They then notify me, we received your mortgage payment at whatever month it is.
Sure.
Okay. So then what happens is it gets to be about December or January every year, and they start claiming that they have not received payments, and they're going to start foreclosure, and I owe them money, and I don't.
.740 on 97.1 The Ticket.
Alrighty, welcome back to the show, 9:45. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. All day long, you can find us at the office at 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. A whole bunch of us are headed out to the Cottage and Lakefront Living Show. That's out at the Suburban Showcase out there in Novi. Really fun stuff. John, there's a boat show there. Can I keep you in the booth?
Oh,
you're going to be shopping for boats and stuff.
We're going to be shopping for Becky will be out there. Becky Alley from our office. Go see the gorgeous Becky Alley.
There you go.
She'll be out there at 10 a.m. And then Harvey and I will be there from 1 to 5. Come see us. Say hi. You know,
not so gorgeous, but loud. We'll be there.
Oh, we're not gorgeous. No. We're hard to look at. That's why we're on the radio.
That's good.
Yeah, faces for radio, gentlemen.
But it's also about second homes, Harry, too, which is fun stuff. You know, vacation homes and second homes. It's a really fun show.
Listen, up north in the Lower Peninsula and the Northern Peninsula of Michigan with all the lakes, you could not find a better place to have a second home. People go up north. We talk about, here we use the term, where are you going for the weekend? We're going up north. Up north. That's what we do.
And no one ever asks where up north is.
We know, up north. Yeah, where are you going up north? Okay, that's how we talk around here because it's such a big part of our, growing up and our lexicon and just our lifestyle. So we're exhibiting at the show. And I think we're going to meet a lot of people out there. It's going to be fun. There's a lot of other exhibitors out there. Come out and check us out. It's at the Suburban. Is that where it's at?
Yeah, they call it the Suburban Showcase out there collection.
Yeah.
And
what do I know? I just know how to get there.
It's a big building. What's also cool about it is, and you see this with a lot of situations, is, when you buy a second home, John, not your family necessarily, but more and more families, they do rent them out on occasion. So it could be a second home with your family, and you're buying it as a vacation home. 10% down is all that's required. And then you might find that you rent it to friends or family. And this is what people do in the future. And again, if you buy the right property, whether it have some lake privileges or just in the right area where you can maybe even walk to a little downtown area, you generally can do pretty well on these. Again, if you have the money, it's something you want to take a look at, we'll run the numbers for you. If it makes sense, sometimes you can grab 2 or 3 families can get together and buy these. But this is what we see this time of the year. You get a little taste. If you go up north right now and you get a little taste of it.
Hey, families for years and years have gone up north and they've found these vacation homes, these cottages, and John has one. And he spends a fair amount of time up there. But the best part for me is watching John when he takes his brother up there, when he takes his nieces and nephews and everybody there, and they have a great time on the lake, and you're just hanging out. That's what you do. You just kind of hang out, and you create those lasting memories for families up there. And in the summertime in Michigan, no better place than being up north.
I mean, it's so hard to get everyone together at one time anymore that if you have a place that you can all go to and just relax and the kids can run around and nobody has to be stressed out, it just makes for a great time. And, it changes your family dynamic from family to now you're all best friends as well. And that's the most important thing for me, that, you get out there and you get to spend some time with your family and friends and just, make memories.
Yeah, get to suck in some fresh air up there and maybe get, defuse a little bit. Yeah, the pressures of everyday life here in the hustle and bustle of Southeast Michigan, it can catch up with you.
Not to mention the awesome golf courses up north.
Oh, yeah. So we got lakes.
And like you said, Harvey, you can take one of those properties and rent it out for one of the busy weekends or a busy week, and you can make your mortgage payment for 6 months.
Yeah, you're seeing a lot of more and more of that happening. Hey, Kyle, a couple things I wrote down are fun. Of course, the pride and joy of Plymouth High School here, Kyle Link from Remax Dream Properties. Kyle, I know all your friends are listening. So how do you get on 97.1? Here's how you do it. You become a successful real estate agent. You work hard, honest, and all those great things that you do. What do you like most about being a real estate agent? Of course, you got a lot of young buyers you're working with, too, which is fun.
Yeah, it's just my wife and I, we enjoyed the process so much of becoming homeowners. We became homeowners at a relatively young age, and I was doing something else before I got into real estate, and I just said, I've been thinking about trying this for a while, and once I got in, I realized I was able to help multiple families, multiple people make this first solid investment, and that's my favorite thing, is trying to set my people up for success for their future.
Yeah, that's really the key. That's some of the language that we use is setting you up for successful homeownership. And that's why we bring up things like that. These property taxes, we're not trying to scare anyone off of homeownership. Right. What we're saying is, a buyer beware. Understand that these things can happen. Yeah, you could have a flood in your backyard if you didn't know, if you have a low grade, or that property taxes can go up on you.
So, Harvey, we did get that text right now. It's on there, and it says, listen, he's a property owner. He wants the deal where the taxes stay the same every year. Well, that's not going to happen. What happens is every year you get your property assessed by the city, the municipality that you live in, and it comes out with an SEV, state equalized value. Okay, and it's going to be approximately, please help you understand that the word approximately, on your SEV is going to be half what the municipality thinks your house is worth, okay? So if it says 100 on it, they think it's worth 200,000. So you're going to pay taxes based on the SEV. There is no deal in stone anymore that you're going to pay the same amount of taxes. It's always based on the SEV that you get notified every year coming up. Now, if you want to fight it, that's a different story. Now, for me personally, I would rather live in a house. You're not going to get it both ways. You're not going to live in a house that's going to appraise or assess, I apologize, for high and pay low taxes. It doesn't work that way. It's like paying income tax. The more money you make, the more you're going to pay in taxes. So on a property value, you're going to get the notification. And if you want to fight it, the best way to fight it is you go out and you get a real appraisal. Kyle, you guys put together a comp sheet, you put together projections, you put together solds for people, then they try to fight it. I would do that also. And if you're really serious about it, you got to spend the $400 for the appraisal to get that done. And if it comes in a lot lower than what your SEV says, then you go fight it. But you have to be prepared for that. So really, that's the answer to that texter. Thank you for texting in. We appreciate it. But you're never going to pay, there's no deal that you can sign for 10 years that you're going to pay the same amount of taxes.
Yeah, Kyle, the market analysis is really important stuff that you guys put together.
Yeah, well, and I have so many times people reach out to me because they don't know, and they'll ask, can you do an appraisal for me? It's like, no, I can't. I'm not a licensed appraiser, but I can do a market analysis. I'm going to try to find like properties, and close to your home, and we can kind of assess a value there and think what we think the house is going to be worth.
Yep.
All right, understanding your negotiations, of course, getting the right people involved. That's what it's all about. Get that strong approval letter. Call Capital Mortgage Funding. We're all experienced loan officers there with tons and tons of experience. We can help you, whatever program it might be, whether it's FHA, VA, conventional, the MSHDA loans, USDA loans. You find the house, we'll help you with the mortgage. That's the key. Get your mortgage all set up first, have the funds ready to close, and make sure you understand the process. That's the key. Confidence will give you the really that go-ahead to move forward. The knowledge gives you the confidence, and then you're able to sit down with real professionals and put something together. Again, we got a few minutes left. 248-539-9797 if you want to give us a phone call. We have mentioned it that we're going to be out at the Cottage Lakefront Living Show. Again, we talked about second homes and these rentals. But there's other reasons why families are doing the refinancing right now. And one of them, of course, is to eliminate the MIP on FHA loans, John. Oh, yeah. So many of our clients have bought homes using the FHA program, little down, 3.5% down over the last few years. You probably have a lot of equity. Yeah, if the city's telling you, hey, look, your home value's gone up, yeah, they have. And that built-in equity that you have now can probably help you get rid of that MIP or PMI.
Well, you don't want the city to be up to date like an appraisal would be, right? Just like Harry was saying, you want to pay your taxes on the taxable value, the SEV, and keep that a little bit lower. But with this strong selling market that we just went through last year and what's happening now in early 2019, like Kyle was talking about, there's a lot of people out there that are going to be able to get out of mortgage insurance on a conventional loan or the MIP on an FHA loan a lot quicker than they normally would have because the sales prices out there have been so good. So, give us a call. Let's take a look, see if it makes sense, and we can run numbers. We run numbers backwards, forwards all day long, and all of our consultations are for the most part free.
Yeah,
and we'll make sure that you're given good advice before you move forward.
Yeah, it's about saving money. We can save you money, great. And people say, so you save $100 a month. $100 a month? Are you kidding? It's $1,200 a year for nothing.
Well, that adds up.
It's like if I walked up to you at the end of the year and handed you a check for $1,200, would you take it or not?
Yeah, I'd hug you.
In a minute, thank you.
You know I'm not a hugger.
Hey, Census Bureau reported Thursday the national home ownership rose again. National home ownership rate is 64.8%. That's really good. 3 years of growth in a row. So hopefully that trend will continue here again. A little bit of snow coming this week, so it's not going to really feel like spring quite yet. But definitely that might be the reason why you call Kyle Lang sooner than later. Avoid all that heavy-duty competition that's just around the block.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said earlier, the spring market, we've had a really, really competitive February start to March here. It's right around the corner, but you need to be ready. I posted just a video last week, and it actually motivated one of our clients, John, to get out and get pre-approved. They've been kind of hemming and hawing. We know we want to buy a house this year, but we're not sure when. Get pre-approved. It doesn't hurt to get pre-approved. The pre-approval letter can rattle around your glove compartment for 3 months. It doesn't matter. You want to be ready when that house hits the market.
Yeah, keeping your funds and everything that's involved in a transaction. Of course, this time of year is tax season. Make sure you call your CPA. We like to tell people to do their little housekeeping things. If you haven't paid your property taxes, of course, the bill was due usually by February 15th for the winter tax bill. Definitely don't forget about it. Make sure you handle all that. Contact your accountant, contact your CPA, and sit down with them. We've had some conversations where people are coming back to us because of the new tax code. There's new numbers out there, so you might not get the same thing you had last year on your tax return. You might even owe a few dollars. So find out how the mortgage could help you with all that. Any final thoughts for you guys?
No, thanks for having me, guys. A lot of fun.
Come see us at the Novi Expo today, 1 to 5.
Yeah, get out there. That is a dynamite show. Check it out. The Suburban Showcase. Again, Capital Mortgage is out there with several vendors. Really fun stuff. Kyle Lang from Remax Stream. You're awesome.
Say hi to your dad for me.
I will. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
All righty. Hey, that music says we got Pat Caputo coming up with sports. Keep it here on 97.1 Ticket. For John Kolb, Harry Glanz, I'm Harvey Freed. Have a wonderful day.
Hi, Harry Glanz for Capital Mortgage.
Hi, Harry Glanz and Danberg for Capital Mortgage Funding. We do loans everywhere. In Southfield, in Birmingham, in Royal Oak, in Groseal, in Detroit, in Canton, in Northville. No matter where you live, we want to do your mortgage too. That's Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker.